Hello everyone. So in this particular video we'll talk about delusional disorders. So delusional disorder is not something new to you all. So you all had come across delusional disorder when we discussed about schizophrenia. So delusional disorder was one of the positive symptoms of schizophrenia. Hope you all can recollect that. So talking about delusional disorder, the only first understanding is the false belief. So let us understand delusional disorder in detail, particularly now with respect to brain and other neurological impairments. So what are delusional disorder? What is delusional disorder? Delusional disorder, previously it was called as paranoid disorder, is a type of serious mental illness which is classified under psychosis, in which a person cannot tell what is real or from what is imagined. That is, their ability to understand, the perception, the understanding of things itself goes wrong. They are not able to distinguish what is real and what is not real or what is imagined. Whatever they believe to be true is not at all true. That is, the disbelief that they have cultivated in themselves, which has resulted due to different and various neurological changes that takes place in their mind. The main feature of this disorder is the presence of delusion itself, which is unshakable belief. You all know this. The belief is so strong that you cannot change it. So if you provide all the evidence, you provide them with the information, even then those beliefs are so unshakable, you cannot make them believe that whatever they're feeling or whatever they are thinking is right. However, that doesn't exist in reality. And people with delusional disorder experience non-bizarre delusion, which involve situations that could occur in real life, such as being followed, poisoned, deceived, conspired against, or lured from a distance. So these people believe in non-bizarre delusion. Bizarre delusions are those delusions which are extreme conditions. So which you can which you'll know that such things doesn't happen in reality. Like, you cannot find a cat which is blood red in color. You cannot find a Godzilla or anaconda dancing with you. So these are something which are very bizarre, which can never ever happen in reality. So these things, if somebody tells you, definitely make sure that these things are really made up, cooked stories, or which can never ever happen. And you can easily find out that people who are saying this are out of their mind. But then non-bizarre delusions are those delusions which involve situations that could occur in real life, such as being followed by someone, being poisoned by someone, deceived in the sense somebody is cheating on you, conspired against you, or somebody is loving you from distance. That is secret lover. Those things are which might happen in real life. So these delusions usually involve the misinterpretation of perception or experience. Either the person misinterprets the situation or the experience that they feel. In reality, however, the situations are not true or at all highly exaggerated. If at all it's true, those things are highly exaggerated. So if they might have certain belief, for example, a person with the delusional disorder might have a suspicion, so he or she might be suspicious regarding few or some or other thing, but then there must be certain traits of reality under that. For example, you can see in various movies, especially the serials, daily the soap opera eras, wherein you might find a cruel lady who is trying to get on you but is unable to do so. You might have such kind of character in your life. So when you have those characters in your life, if you are possessed by the delusional disorder, then you would exaggerate that to the extreme level. There are people who backbite about you. There are people who would start saying things which are wrong about your people gossip about you. But when you are under delusion, you exaggerate to the highest and at the utmost level. So that could be one of the expression of it. And people with delusion disorder often can continue to socialize and function quite normally apart from the subject of their delusion, and generally not behave in an obviously odd or bizarre manner. So these individuals are able to interact in a normal terms with people around them, but then only thing is, whichever delusion they are possessed with, whichever false beliefs they have, in those areas they are not able to function adequately. Other than that, every field, every area, they are able to manage well. This is unlike people with other psychotic disorder who also might have delusion as a symptom of their disorder. In some cases, however, people with the delusional disorder might become so preoccupied with their delusions that their lives are disrupted. So you know that the delusional disorders are also part of some other psychotic disorder like schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is one of a disorder where delusional disorder is a prominent, and it combines with the hallucination. And you have various forms of hallucination which again overlaps with the delusion at times. So this delusional disorder is something which is it can cause disruption in your life. Usually it is found as an associated or underlying symptom of some other psychotic disorder. It's rarely seen in its own manifest form, that is the fullest form. It is along with some other disorder, psychotic disorder. This is highly seen. The mention of schizophrenia when talking about delusion is highly there, and it's always seen that delusion disorder as itself is very rare, and it might occur in the middle or to the late ages of life rather than the early stages. So we all had an understanding of types of delusional disorder when we spoke about schizophrenia. So we would list those disorders, so those types of delusional disorders again. One being erotomanic disorder. Someone with this type of delusion disorder believe that another person, often someone important or famous, is in love with him or her. The person might attempt to contact the object of delusion, as stalking behavior is heavily seen or heavily witnessed. So you can I have mentioned this when we were discussing about schizophrenia. This erotomanic type of delusion where you believe that somebody who is famous, who is well known, is in love with you. So you try to contact them, and we also had come across few of the cases over the news channels. I could remember when around 2008 2007, where few of the celebrities would get the news letters from the random people saying that they are in love with them and they have married and they have promised to come back to them. So these letters are commonly seen. These could be some stunts for the publicity stunts might also be possible, but then these symptoms are expressed by people who suffer from erotomanic delusion. And then the grandiose delusion. This is when you believe that you are superior, you have the knowledge, power, identity, you are here to fulfill the wish of God, you are here to carry out some important job, something which is undone, and God wants you to do that, and you have all the power. So that is delusion of grandiosity. You believe that you are superior of everyone. So a person with this type of delusion disorder has overinflated sense of worth, power, knowledge, or identity. The person might believe he or she has great talent or has made an important discovery. So this is also a characteristic feature of narcissistic personality disorder, where people who suffer from that narcissistic personality disorder have the grandiose sense of identity in them. Again, to recall with your chapter 1. And then jealousy. A person with this form of delusion disorder believe that his or her spouse or a sexual partner is unfaithful. So this is something which we can see in paranoid personality disorder, and most of the delusional disorders occurred alone, like not being the underlying cause of schizophrenia or any other psychotic disorders, are mostly expressed in the form of jealousy disorder, jealousy delusion. That is the reason wherein the disorder itself was earlier called as paranoid disorder. So it was initially it was called as paranoid disorders then, but now it is called as delusional disorder. You have a difference between paranoid and delusional disorder. Paranoid is mostly being suspicious, and people do not feel that they have grandiose power. They just believe that their sexual partner or their spouse are unfaithful to them. So then comes the persecutory delusion. If you could remember this is one of the leading symptoms expressed under schizophrenia, delusion of persecution. It is highly expressed form of delusion under schizophrenia. People with this form of delusion believe that someone close to them are being mistreated, or that someone is spying on them or planning to harm them. It is not common for people with this type of delusion to make repeated complaints or to that, especially to the legal authorities. They would not back off from the belief that they can go and place a complaint over people whom they believe is causing them harm. This is a kind of delusion, that is delusion of persecution. The next being the somatic delusion, wherein you believe that you have physical defects, you have a medical problem, and you repeatedly want to get checked and have a diagnosis and get medicine. So this is also somewhere related to a disorder, especially. However, diagnosis is different, but then this form of feeling is also classified under illness anxiety disorder, which comes under somatoform disorders subcategories. So if you could relate this to that, it is also a form of delusion where the physical body is perceived as having pain or a disease which in fact would never be there. So medically the body would be completely fine, there will be no medical problem, but then people who have this delusion believe that they have such kind of issues. So we had also mentioned about delusion of depression, where a person who travels by the road, he by a car or a bike, and they believe that after reaching back home, they believe that they had met with an accident and they killed someone, and that causes the depression in an individual. They repeatedly say that they have committed a crime. So this is a delusion of depression that is also seen. The next being mixed delusion, where people with this type of delusion have two or more types of delusion listed above altogether. So at times they can show somatic delusion, at times they can show jealousy delusion, at times they would turn up to be erotomanic delusion. So you never know, the combination of anything might be possible. And let's look at the causes of delusional disorder. Same way, just like we had a understanding of causes for schizophrenia, the genetic, biological, environmental and psychological causes. Let's look into that. So again, the exact cause of delusion disorder is not yet known. You do not have an understanding of it, how exactly this begins and where. And researchers are, however, looking at the role of various genetical, biological and environmental as well as psychological factors that would help in understanding the factors which are associated for delusional disorder. First one being genetic. The fact that delusional disorder is more common in people who have family members with delusional disorder or schizophrenia suggests that there must be a genetic factor involved. It is believed, as with other mental disorder, tendency to develop delusional disorder might be passed on from parents to children. As every disorder under psychology has same explanation when it comes to genetics, and the statistics always says that the possibility of you developing a disorder depends on the genes of your first degree relative, especially parents, what kind of genes they do carry and how that is expressed in your genetical body. So it depends on their genes. If they have they carry the genes for no they carry the genes of schizophrenia, or if they carry the genes for delusion, then your possibility of developing the delusional disorder is high. And the biological reason here, of course, genetics and biology goes hand in hand, and when we talk about genetics, it's about the relationship for which is in favor of causing the disorder and at what degree it might affect you. So talking about biological, research studies on the abnormalities of certain areas of brain might be involved in development of delusion disorder, and imbalance of certain chemicals in the brain called neurotransmitter also linked with the formation of delusion symptoms. So especially the damages or the abnormalities in the brain areas can cause you delusional disorder, and there are possibility of the alteration in the neurotransmitters, the brain chemicals, that can also lead to the delusional symptoms in an individual. Neurotransmitters are those substances which help the nerve cells in the brain to send message to each other. If these neurotransmitters are not functioning properly, if the information is not being processed and delivered to the other neurotransmitter in a right amount and right proportion, there will be a variation and there will be an imbalance. That imbalance leads to the delusions in an individual. An imbalance in these chemicals can interfere with the transmission of message, leading the symptoms of delusion. And when we talk about environmental or psychological factors, the evidence suggests that delusional disorder can be triggered by stress. Alcohol and drug abuse also might contribute to the conditions of delusion. Like if you are under the if you are abusing the drug, especially the drugs which are like marijuana, say LSD, all these hallucinogenic drugs, these will make you they alter the condition of your neurotransmitter. They have a hold on your neurotransmitter, thereby leads to the problem of delusion symptoms in an individual. So people who tend to be isolated, such as immigrants or those with poor sight and hearing, appear to be more vulnerable of developing delusional disorder. These are also there. So these are the environmental and psychological causes. So now let us understand the symptoms of delusion. What symptoms you get to see in the people. The presence of non-bizarre delusion is one of the most obvious symptoms of this disorder. Other symptoms might appear would be irritability, anger, low mood. Hallucinations could be possible, like seeing, hearing, or feeling things that are not really there. And they're also related to delusion, like for example, a person who believes that he or she has an odor problem may smell a bad odor. So we have this an olfactory hallucination wherein we perceive things which are not actually there, and we smell things of bad odor though it is not there in existence. So this is the understanding of delusion disorder. We looked into the causes of delusional disorder and the symptoms that are seen when an individual suffers from delusional disorder. Following, we also had understanding of different types of delusional disorder. We spoke about the relationship of delusion disorder with schizophrenia. So this sums up the topic on delusional disorder. In next video, we'll talk about delirium. Thank you.